Hello guys, wanted to record this video again just to talk more about another case study and another win that we had with one of our clients. And I know that you're watching this because you're interested in potentially scaling your brand. So I implore you to stick towards the end because I'm going to go through a lot of value that you can apply to your brand and effectively scale to these numbers through a very simple system that a lot of agencies and other people are not really talking about because they want to gatekeep it and essentially they don't really want to give this information away so that the top brands can succeed and the rest can sort of just wonder how on earth do they get to these numbers and effectively scale to their goals and target revenues and ROIs. So a bit about myself, I've been scaling brands for a couple of years now, similar to in the fashion and e-commerce space. So I know a thing or two about how to get maximum ROI and be able to maximize revenues on a very consistent basis. And I have a very simple system that I'm going to quickly go over, and you're going to learn a lot from this video. So in this case study, we effectively added an extra $93,000 in 30 days with a 3x ROI for a sustainable clothing brand. Now, this strategy can work with any clothing brand or fashion brand and any e-commerce brand as well, whether you're in a different industry. That's the beauty of this blueprint that I was able to conjure up. But in essence, with this brand, it was just more or less a case of just getting them to find out what the bottlenecks were in their brand and their advertising and just fixing that so we could essentially scale in the right direction for them. So in this video, I'm going to go over metrics, background, initial process, implementing the profit safeguard blueprint, which is sort of like the key to all of this. And then I'll talk more about the outcome of all of this, as well as how you can replicate this for your brand. That's probably the most important part, which you definitely need to stick around to understand how to do this. And also final things as well is also very important. So you can actually apply this and not just watch a video and then go and do another thing and come back months later and wondering why you're not able to scale. Because that's what I see with a lot of brands and a lot of brand owners like yourself is that if you're having a problem, then you most likely need a shortcut in order to get to the desired outcome that you want. But a lot of the time, there's procrastination and a lot of other things that get in the way, which is definitely stunting the growth of your brand. So I'll reiterate that along this video again. This clothing brand produced a 3.7x ROI, like I said, which is way above the target ROAS that they had set for us. So it shows that we're able to over deliver and pretty much produce amazing results for the brands that we work with. And we're confident that we can potentially do that with yours. All of this extra revenue produced a 30-day period with ads. So this will be Facebook ads. And as you know, Facebook ads can be quite volatile. So we've developed a system which would allow us to make sure that we can maximize ROI, whatever the circumstances. And if we show you here, we have $93,000 in revenue for the month with $24,000 spent. And if we work together, and when we work together, effectively, you'll set us a budget. Usually, you want to work with bigger budgets, but over time, we'll begin to scale that and increase the budgets when we see good performance. So that's what we did with this brand, and we started off with roughly $20,000, $20,000, and originally we were spending like $500 a day, and eventually we decided to scale it up because we were seeing great performance with the ads and great ROI, and that's what we would do with your brand to get to these type of numbers. But I'll go into more details. You can see some of the campaigns here. I had to cover these up for privacy. But you can see here, we were producing high ROI. One had 18 ROI here. Very, very good. And this is all because of the safeguard blueprint that I had developed. So I'll go into more detail about the background so you have a good understanding of the context here. So this was a sustainable clothing brand selling clothing such as dresses and tops made in Bali. So they had a very good value proposition and unique selling point, as a lot of brands are not producing their products in Bali. Usually they produce them in China or maybe locally, which is cool. But they had this unique selling point which they pushed onto new customers. So that's how we could position the brand in a unique way, which is what's going to allow you to be able to scale with ads. But originally, they were not doing well with ads to begin with, probably like you are in your current situation, or you don't know how to scale or increase your ROI revenues. And they wanted stability in their business, which is also another point that a lot of brand owners make, is that they don't like volatility, and this can cause anxiety and a lot of problems for them down the line. So obviously we don't want instability as well, because this can make us quite anxious, because we don't like to have fluctuation. So we developed a system so that we could make sure that we were getting results on a consistent basis, which is what we ultimately want. And this year and beyond, you'll need to have a unique selling point to make sure you stand out from in your subcategory and industry at large. So if you don't have a unique selling point, then it's going to be much harder for you to stand out, and you will not have a competitive advantage, especially when it comes to running ads. When you come up with your competitors who are fighting tooth and nail for the target customer that you're fighting for as well. And the unique selling point is a great way to differentiate yourself. At the end of the day, to stand out, you need to have many points of differentiation, which means that you need to find ways to stand out and be different from your competitors, so that your target customer can see you in a different way and pick you for those reasons. So USP could be something related to your product's special features, it could be your company's values, color schemes, customer testimonials, reviews. All of these different things can make you stand out as a brand owner. So it's definitely important to look into that and make sure that you can do that. And if you have any problems with trying to come up with a USP, or don't know how to identify one, then you can DM me the word USP on Instagram, and I'll definitely give you some tips on how to do that. The initial process, we also did that. So upon onboarding the fashion brand, we underwent my customer avatar analysis and the target customer analysis as well, just like with any of the e-commerce brands that we work with. So this involved understanding who the target customer was, who their brand competitors were, what the target customer likes, their dislikes, and the goals and desires of the customer, because we wanted to package all of that and come up with an offering and understand how to communicate to this target market so that we could maximize the ROI, which is very important. Because if you don't have a good understanding of your customer, you're effectively going to not resonate with them, and this can actively just mess up the whole campaign. And again, if you skip the step, like most agencies do, because they don't understand how to target properly and make sure that they have the brand's best interests at heart, they'll produce less effective ads, and resonating with the brand ultimately. This could lead to low ROI and high cost per purchases, as I'm sure you experienced before when you come to run ads. Maybe you spend a bit of money, and at the end of the day, you're not seeing the ROI that you want, or you may not even making any sales because the ad is that bad, right? And you're targeting the wrong people, and that's why you need a specialist to help you to do that. So this is what I'm here for. This is what my team is here for. If you need to scale and maximize your ROI, or if there's any problems, then we can solve that for you, because we've been there, done it, and we know exactly what sort of problems arise and how to solve them. So in terms of the implementing this profit safeguard blueprint, this is basically the key to all of this, because it allowed us to effectively have a systematic approach to making sure that we can maximize ROI and revenues, right? So this is a unique process that me and my team implemented for brands who are looking to scale to ridiculous numbers, because it's that effective, right? A lot of other agencies and freelancers don't have this mechanism, and all they're doing is that they're spraying and praying when it comes to running ads, whereas me and my team have a systematic approach on how to effectively target the right people at the right time with the right creative. And this is something that, again, a lot of agencies are sort of not really privy to, because they don't have a good understanding of the target market. They may be working with different brands or different industries, and so they don't have a specific strategy for each one. They sort of have one blanket strategy that they try to apply to all of them, but it's suboptimal at the end of the day. So that's why you want to work with an agency like us that caters mostly to fashion brands and has a strategy that can be duplicated, right, to e-commerce brands if needed. So that's how we designed it. But a lot of agencies don't have that. They come up with a strategy that's suboptimal for all types of industries, and that's how they end up with burning the brands, and that's how you end up with a lot of brands that have lost trust with agencies because they don't feel that they can trust them. So hopefully I've shown you how you can trust me and how you can effectively scale your brand in a systematic approach. And I'm sure you've seen my case studies. If you haven't, then please look at my Instagram. You can also look at my YouTube videos as well. And you'll see how we systematically go from point A to point B. So we have a very, very, very systematic approach to get from point A to point B. So it's worth noting that. This will be an overview, as I can go into much more detail, but you can go ahead and copy this for yourself, right? And apply this to your brand, right? Apply these concepts to your brand, especially if your brand isn't generating 100K in revenue per month with Facebook ads alone, right? There's no excuse for you not to apply this. So if you're not producing over 100K a month in revenue on Facebook alone, then you need to implement this strategy, because this is what will get you there. If you're doing, let's say, 50K a month already without ads, and you want to get to 150K, 200K a month overall in a short time frame, this is the way to do it, right? There's no other way for you to do this, right? So again, most agencies won't talk about this much, and will try to gatekeep it for the bigger brands, okay? Because the bigger brands have the bigger budgets, they're able to test more and understand what works. This is what works, is when you have awareness, okay? You're able to develop awareness and create awareness for your brand. And then upon awareness, successful awareness, by the way, a lot of agencies fail at this step. What happens is that you begin to nurture them. You go into a nurturing phase of these people. And, you know, a lot of the people that are being made aware of your brand will start to enter these phases. And at the end of the day, if they're not nurtured, then they will have a lack of understanding for your brand and your products. And as a result, you will not be able to get them to the next stage, which is conversion and retention, right? So this is very important. I would say nurturing is the most important part, because this is where you're losing a lot of money. And I'll definitely touch upon this again, as you'll see in the next steps. But nurturing is a very important process, because if you don't nurture the people, you don't have multiple touch points with the people who have probably not visited your website or need more information about your brand, then you're not going to convert them, because they just don't know anything about your product. And you only talk to them once in the awareness phase. So one time is not enough to know about a new brand, which is why we focus heavily on the nurturing phase. So to begin with, the awareness phase is obviously what we begin. And in the Profit Safeguard Blueprint, we use this to understand what creators will be working best with the audience combinations that we had available to us with this brand, right? And that's how we were able to do 93K in a single month with a combination of these 3 steps. So this included interests, broad targeting, and lookalike audiences. Now, it's good to note that this brand was in a much more niche, was a lot more niche. Okay, they weren't a broad brand. They weren't catering to large groups of people. So it was better for us to use lookalike audiences and interests to maximize the ROI and minimize cost per purchase, because we wanted to target the exact people that were looking to bring into the brand and bring it to the funnel so that they can convert. If we were targeting people who are related to the brand or had no interest in the brand, this would effectively increase the costs, which is not good. So again, if we target too broad, this will lead to poor ROI and high cost purchases. What a lot of agencies like to do, they like to target broad now, because they say the algorithm will find the customer. And this is risky, especially for brands that have never run ads for a long time before, because what happens is the algorithm needs to have a learning process, and if they don't, the learning process can take up to 7 days, a week, 2 weeks, and so on, depending on how much you're spending. And so it needs time to learn about your target customer. Whereas we go ahead and shortcut all of this, and we just target the exact audiences that are going to be interested in the product, and this will allow the people to learn faster and like to scale much further and much more quickly. And that's how we're able to generate $93,000 in a single month. So in this case of this example of if you were interested in sustainable fashion, but you kept being shown ads from fast fashion brands, this would you're never going to buy fast fashion clothing because it goes against your values, your interests, and your likes. So that's something to take into account. And this is how agencies go and burn brands, and when they target too broadly, and it just doesn't work usually for brands and e-commerce brands in general, depending on what industry they're in. For example, health and beauty. So the next step was in the nurturing phase. And this is the most important part of the blueprint, as I mentioned. And a lot of agencies ignore this because they don't understand the nurturing process and the customer journey and how funnel dynamics work. So most website visitors and video viewers of your ads are not going to buy the first time. Now, this is a fact. This could be 95% of the population in that audience will not buy the first time. So what do? Well, we're going to have to retarget these people and show them much more content. So this fashion brand had over 200,000 people in this category. And this included people who had been following the brand for a long period of time on Instagram and Facebook, as well as those who have watched the videos of the brand as well. So they have a decent understanding of what the brand provides and what the brand offers, but they need more information in order to get them down to the conversion phase. So I strategized a plan to target these people with streaming videos and content that educates and indoctrinates the audience over time, right? Now, there are countless reasons why a potential customer will not purchase or go down the funnel, right? But the goal is to educate them as much as possible to maximize the chances of them purchasing soon. So, many reasons for why a target customer will not buy for months on end could be because of these reasons, right? So it could be because they don't have enough money at the moment. It could be because they're not feeling the product right now. They may need more information, which is usually a big one, about the product. This is why we give them endless streams of content so they have more understanding about the brand and effectively have able to go into the decision part of the funnel, right? And the desire part of the funnel. And they may be waiting for a sale, which is sometimes the case for low quality buyers, but in this case, the brand was reluctant to do a sale, which I'm sure you're probably not keen on doing sales as well, depending on the time of year. Once nurturing was done successfully, conversion is now going to be relatively straightforward because now these individuals have a very good understanding of the brand and they have a good understanding of the products that you sell. And now they're going to be in the desire and the action phase, right? / decision phase. So they may just need a little nudge with a small discount or other perks, such as free shipping of $100, for example. And as well, we also include retention in this part because once they've bought the product, now we have email and SMS marketing to help with retention. And this will increase your lifetime value, which is very important. A lot of agencies and brands ignore this. And this is how the top brands are able to scale to $1 million in a single month, and so on, very comfortably because they understand how the lifetime of a customer is very important to their scalability. Because if you can spend more to acquire a customer, you effectively win, right? You're effectively able to scale much further because you understand the lifetime value of your customer, and so at the end of the day, you're going to be able to do massive numbers. So as you can imagine, this is very, very important things here. So I highly advise that you go back and watch these parts because I just dropped a lot of value here, which I'm sure you can definitely implement for your brand, especially the nurturing part. A lot of brands and agencies don't understand this, and if you're able to implement this part and effectively apply the strategy here, then you're definitely going to see improvement in your ads and be able to scale much further. So be sure to give this video a like if you're liking it so far, as I put a lot of effort into it, and I'm sure that this information I could easily charge multiple 4 figures for it. So the outcome, as we stated before, is that they scaled from barely generating any revenue, right, with Facebook ads specifically, all the way to generating $93,000 in a 30-day time frame, okay, with this strategy because of how we go about marketing to their target market. right? And as you can see, again, $93,000, $24,000 spent, 3.87 ROI, right? And a lot of them had high ROI. So this example, 18.32 ROAS. This was a nurturing campaign. So you see how this is very important to have a nurturing campaign where you can effectively nurture and warm up people who have never heard of the brand as much before. And you can see others won 4.15 ROAS, 6.91, 3.24 ROAS, 3.24 again, and 5.01 ROAS. And the list goes on because we had a few more campaigns, each falling into these categories where we had awareness campaigns, nurturing campaigns, conversion campaigns, right? So now let's talk more how you can replicate this for your brand specifically and give you some actionable steps that you can follow so that you can go ahead and make this as easy as possible to implement and replicate. So if you're watching this far into the video, then congrats. You definitely learned a lot so far. And what you can do now is that you can watch this video multiple times so that it sinks in, because I went through quite a bit and there's a lot of important information in there, which I would highly recommend that you go through again, because in order to implement this, you need to have a good understanding of it and how to execute upon it, right? So that's why you need to try and look at it again and make sure that you understand it so that you can apply this and able to scale, especially if you're under 30K a month, because if you're under 30K and you have a bit of a budget to spend, then you need to try this out and see if there's a proof of concept with your brand with ads. And then once you're able to scale up, then you can talk to me and we can scale up much further with a lot more advanced strategies that is involved in this blueprint. Number two, watch all of my Instagram content, highlights, reels, stories, and posts. Okay, as I go into much more depth there, and I give some more advice on how to implement this strategy. That's a lot more in depth and probably more bite sized, I would say. But you can definitely use it to increase your chances of making this work for you. My Instagram is linked in the description, and you can DM me the word 93K if you want a copy of this document, as I'm sure you would want, because it's all here for you. You just need to go ahead and look at it step by step in a very systematic approach and just apply it just like that. And you can also DM me the word 385K if you want a copy of the previous doc in my previous video, where I go over how we scaled a brand all the way to $385,000 in just 60 days. And I'll give you the document for that as well, which you can go ahead and implement. Very important that you do this because, we want you to succeed in this. And this is probably the only way you can do that, because a lot of agencies out there will probably burn you, will probably try and give you some optimal strategies and not cater to your needs. Whereas I'm pretty much giving out the strategy for free that they would hide and not even be able to implement themselves. So it's important that you're able to apply this knowledge right as soon as possible, because we don't have time and we need to get going as soon as possible so that we can get you to your target revenues and goals and dreams. And the ultimate shortcut actually is, if you're a fashion brand or even e-com brand and you're generating over 30K a month already, then and you want to scale to massive numbers, add an extra 100K a month to your bottom line, completely automated by me and my team in the same way that I've just demonstrated in this video, then you can DM me the word call on Instagram and I get right back to you, and we can set up a Zoom call where we can go into more detail about your current situation, your desired situation, and how we can bridge that gap so that we can get you to your goals and your desired situation. Okay, so this is highly recommended because it's getting straight to the point, right? If you just view my content and you watch my videos and you watch my Instagram, then effectively you're gaining a lot of information. But if you really want to scale to the large numbers that you want to get to, then your best bet is to get someone to do it for you. It has the experience, that already has the heuristics to do that, right? Because you probably have to go through a learning process, which I talk about in quite a bit, and it's just going to cause a lot of stress and heartache for you when you realize that your efforts is in vain because you don't have the knowledge or the applicable knowledge currently to do that. So I highly recommend that you DM me the word call, and we'll go over into more detail about how we can scale your brand. Now, a few more final things just to go over. Only booking a call if you're generating over 30K a month in revenue consistently, right? And this will just ensure that we are working with brands that have money to invest and that they have a proof of concept and that their market actually wants their product. Because if the market doesn't want their product, there's no strategy in the world that will enable you to get and to be able to scale. Because you can bring a horse to a pool to drink, but you can't force them to drink it, right? So that's the analogy I use when it comes to marketing to customers, right, online. Is that you may have a product, but if the target market doesn't want it at large, then you can't really do anything to market to make them want it. Usually, now the longer you wait to do so, the longer the longer you wait to talk to me and my team, and to scale your brand to your target revenues and your dream revenues, right? You're losing out on revenue every single month, right? You're losing out money every single month that you won't be able to get back easily, right? Because they would have gone to your competitors. And I mentioned this in the last video, is that at the end of the day, you'll be losing out on quite a bit of money every single month. For example, if this fashion brand didn't partner with me, then they would have lost out over $100,000 every single month just because they didn't implement this strategy and they didn't have this injected into their brand. And so you don't want this to be you, right? A lot of people procrastinate. They say they want to scale, but they're always looking for a reason why they shouldn't scale or why they shouldn't get to their target revenues. And there's a lot of limiting beliefs there that you definitely want to overcome, because if you don't overcome it, you're just going to be a business owner that's stagnating, and you may end up becoming a failed business owner, which is the last thing that you want. So this is why you need to take action right now, okay? And again, it gets more competitive over time. This is going to get a lot harder for you if you're not able to jump on this sort of trend of being able to nurture an audience, because a lot of brands are still not doing this, but eventually they'll find out. And then they'll go ahead and implement this strategy. The brands that we work with are already killing it in this space, and we have loads of testimonials showing that in our highlights, in my highlights, and you can see how we're able to pretty much do six figures every single month with this strategy. So you definitely want to jump on this as soon as possible, right? Because we're probably not going to be having this sort of success forever, and we're going to have to pivot, especially as the competition gets more large, especially in the fashion industry and e-commerce industry in general. So you want to be working with specialists straight away, as I just mentioned. Time is magnitudes more valuable than money. You can always make money, but you cannot get your precious time back. So this is very important that you're going to make sure that you're valuing your time, that you outsource the work to specialists and professionals who understand how to scale brands. And you should not be spending any time in the ads manager yourself as a brand owner, because you should be focused on other tasks that is going to contribute to the generation of revenue, such as the product, such as logistics, etc. Right? So it's very important that you outsource this as soon as possible, the marketing arm of your brand. And the money you invest will pale in comparison to the amount of money you will make back with your brand, just so you know. Because if you pay, for example, a certain number, right, 4 figures in fees, and you're able to bring back 100K in revenue, right, which is probably going to be 70 net profit, or gross profit, then you've automatically made your money back in a week, or in less than a week, actually. So it's very important that you have that mindset when it comes to running ads. So don't waste time figuring this out yourself. Even if you're currently working with a so-called good agency, like this brand was, or internal team, there's most likely massive room for improvement that can multiply your long-term revenue, right? On the call, we'll go through specific problems that you're facing with your brand and the current situation that you're in, so that we have a very good understanding of what exactly we need to do for you in a very tailored approach, right? Because we work with fashion brands multiple times before, so we have a very, very concrete system on how to get you from point A to point B. Because usually the problem is very, very monolithic when it comes to brands such as yours, right? A lack of sales, lack of conversion rate, low ROI, a lack of revenue, right? When it comes to running ads, they need help with the strategy. They need help with the funnel strategy, creative strategy. They need help with marketing in general, right? Because they're not experts in marketing. All of these we've seen, and we've been there, done it, and we know exactly what is required for a brand like yours. So when you jump on a call, we'll pretty much see exactly what problems you have. And once you message me via DM, I'll see exactly what you need very straight away. So, after that, we'll talk about how to get started and agree to terms and conditions. And we'll pretty much get your ads up and running in the same week. So it's not complicated. We don't like complexity. As a man, the great man once said, simplicity scales, complexity fails. So this applies heavily in this case. And that's how we operate in general, because we know that when you make things more complex, it gets harder to manage that, and this can decrease efficiency. So also note that this is not a sales call. Okay, if you're not entirely sure about working with me and my team, and you don't want to scale your brand to these type of numbers where you're doing 6 figures in revenue every single month, then and you don't have money to invest as well, which is very important, then do not book in a call. Okay, and I suggest you watch this video again so you can apply this for yourself and either get capital from other sources or go ahead and apply this. If you do have the money to invest and you are ready to scale to 6 figures in profit every single month, then I'll see you on Zoom very soon, and I'll see you in the DMs very soon. Again, DM me the word call, and we can go ahead and provide all of this information to you that you need tailored, and get you on a call and just pretty much get started. And if you want this resource, then you can DM me 93 in Instagram and 385k for the previous case study as well. So again, thank you for watching this video. Again, if you need help, let me know, and I'll look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now.